What does it mean to sacrifice? So, this one Vietnamese Buddhist monk set himself aflame during Vietnam to protest the war, sacrificing very much because for Buddhists, they're not supposed to commit suicide and they're not supposed to cause themselves harm because causing themselves harm is increasing suffering, even if it is for oneself. Increasing suffering in that way is not something a Buddhist monk is supposed to do, but it I'll say that it made sense for situations like that. If you're someone who is not trying to cause harm to somebody else and is only going to cause harm to himself or herself, and it's going to be in protest, then it actually does have a good context. So a Buddhist monk might set himself on fire and only cause himself suffering, to show that he's gone beyond the middle path. He's like, the middle path is not leading to a good reaction or a good existence for those in my country or among humanity. So somebody might set themselves on fire in order to show, look how much suffering I'm going to cause myself because I so disagree with what is going on in my country. That happened in Vietnam. Of course, we have the famous Vietnam image of a monk burning himself to death, with gasoline, but he's still in the yoga pose. He's still in a meditative pose. And then we have a lot of images, not a lot, but some images from Tibet, where even right now, um, Tibet is being oppressed by China. The Buddhist monks really do not have free reign of their own beliefs or what they can say, let alone the people. China is strip mining everything in Tibet to gain resources that country has. And when Buddhist monks light themselves on fire, we saw this in Vietnam. Like I said, it's uh, it's like calling upon the universe to look at a singular point. Because if somebody is very virtuous, is lighting themselves on fire or sacrificing themselves in that way, kind of a suicidal way, then the universe will point its attention to that place, that person, and that cause. It's not always the case that the universe directly has, like, this is what you do in order to get attention, this is what you do in order not to, things like that. That's not the case. In the case of Buddhist monks sacrificing themselves by lighting themselves on fire, it is the universe is likely to view that because they're virtuous and also because they're willing to cause themselves suffering, and not others, but being able to cause themselves suffering in order to make a point to the grander existence of all of those suffering, everybody who's suffering. And it's a slippery road. It's a slippery road because one thing that the Dalai Lama said is that he was asked, if your monks, or not his monks, but if monks in general are setting themselves on fire, is that a good form of protest? Is that something that should be done? And the Dalai Lama right now, as of this date, he said, I can't really comment on that because if I condemn uh, those who have killed themselves in this way, then I'm going to harm their families emotionally. And if I support this way, then more people are going to set themselves on fire. And he's like, so I'm quiet about it, which makes sense. Um, but this extreme form of protest, where you're literally lighting yourself on fire and you're dying, um, this kind of thing gets the notice of the universe. So, what do I mean by that? Everything is conscious, to certain degrees. And when the whole universe, all of consciousness, sees somebody who is very virtuous sacrificing themselves to make a point, then there's a lot of this consciousness focused on why they did that. It's it's not something that exists in government per se or just in humanity or anything like that, but the universe itself is conscious. And when something really horrendous or outrageous happens, um, like a very virtuous person lighting themselves on fire and killing themselves, the universe will naturally focus on that point. Now, is this the case for every time somebody sets themselves on fire and commits suicide? No. But somebody who has committed themselves to getting rid of suffering, putting themselves through that suffering definitely gets the universe's attention. And, the middle path, the middle way in Buddhism, um, of just taking care of oneself enough to where you're healthy as far as food and other things are concerned when it comes to the physical body, because mainly it's the health of the mental body that Buddhist monks are concerned with. To go to that extreme is a statement. To that degree of suicide, that painful suicide, is a statement. And it's a statement that we as human beings should see, we should appreciate, we should recognize. Because if we don't, then there's going to be less and less meaningful sacrifices that will be made. Whether it be sacrifices that we make of other people, whether it become jobs, employments, governmental, or, moral, societal. All these things have a spectrum. But what doesn't have a spectrum is pure self-sacrifice. So when we see a Buddhist monk sacrifice themselves by lighting themselves on fire, whether it be Vietnam or whether it be Tibet, they are giving the ultimate sacrifice just to make a point in the universe and to humanity that there's something very wrong here and that we should take notice. The universe is more likely to take notice immediately, but humanity might take a little longer. But we are starting to notice that other human beings are realizing, why is it so bad in Tibet? What is going on? Why are Buddhist monks emulating themselves in order to make a statement that this is such a dire problem? And, when China invaded Tibet, decades ago, in the 40s, they sent artillery shells to temples. They destroyed a lot of houses. They made the occupants that were left to fall into line, and they made Buddhist monks and nuns marry each other, breaking their vows, basically breaking the Buddhist vow of not, marrying somebody, not being with them. But Mao Zedong, who was in charge of the Chinese state at that point, the Chinese Communist government, though his level of communism is questionable. He told the Dalai Lama at that time that religion is poison. After they had a really good meeting, and it's something that has been echoed. And I think it was either Lenin or Stalin that said religion is poison, but also that that religion is the opiate of the masses, trying to make everybody fall in line. At any rate, China definitely is strip mining. Is going there in order to get the resources, with the smallest of explanation that it used to be part of China. That's how Mao Zedong and his Red Army went in there. This used to be part of China. We are reclaiming it. And how you know that was a bad endeavor or an evil endeavor, even all the way to now, is that making Buddhist monks, Buddhist monks or nuns, marrying each other, making them go into a relationship that they vowed not to, just for the sake of it. They didn't have any other reason to do it than to spite Buddhism and their vows for the monks and the nuns. That's awful, and it hasn't gotten much better since. But there's not a lot of people that are willing to advocate for these very poor Tibetan, this very poor Tibetan nation, not just people but nation. It's a client state in the worst way possible, with the worst contract possible, that was not agreed upon. So, while I won't say that lighting oneself on fire is a good solution or good protest, I will say that it is effective, both for karma and the universe and the situation that these people are in. In the United States, if I want to protest something, it's much easier. And it's easier to gain a voice. But when you're in Tibet, or, Vietnam, I guess, when we were occupying it, but mainly Tibet is what I'm talking about right now, there's not a free press. There's the only way to get news out is to do something extreme. so that photos can't help but getting out to the media of all the other countries. So this kind of self-sacrifice by setting oneself on fire, it's a hard issue because it's not something I'd recommend, but it's also not something that shouldn't be done in the most dire circumstances. We have to study history. We have to try to understand history. We have to understand how things have worked, if they worked, and most of history we will find is a big gray area, very big gray area, that we have to pick through the facts and figure out what we believe or what we support out of that pile of facts, because everything is connected and there's a lot of facts because everything is connected. At any rate, I hope you think about these Buddhist monks, that set themselves on fire in protest, and just kind of figure out exactly what that means to you. And I hope all of you have a wonderful day, truly understand yourselves and move forward. And all of you have a wonderful day.